dad is dead, so I won that one. Oh, hi. This is a special episode of The Jib. You will notice we're not doing things the normal way. Okay, we're breaking the law. We are here to talk about, well, you know what happened is we had an episode about Bill Maher some time ago, and we were talking about clips, and it did very well, and people seemed to like it. So we're going to do something like that, but for everybody's favorite president, Joe Biden. Now, this was, you might think this is Seamus. Seamus here is, I would say, very rare among left-wing Americans or sensible Americans, in that he rips into the Democrats as much as he rips into the Republicans. He is not a member of the "you should vote Democrat or the Republicans and get in" camp. He thinks that's ridiculous, right? Is that fair?
Yes.
And people who are on his side, I guess, if you want to look at it that way, get very angry with him sometimes because he criticizes people like Joe Biden and he criticizes other left-wing characters. You criticize AOC as well, I think, don't you?
Oh yeah, I criticize everybody. I mean, that's fair game. I mean, they're politicians.
No, I'm not telling you shouldn't. I'm just saying I like AOC.
Yeah,
you know. Yeah. So Joe Biden though is different. It's open season for that guy. So what we did was we have in this episode we have amassed a number of clips, very much like the Bill Maher episode, except I guess this has some consequences. And we're going to talk about Joe Biden and how he is terrible for America. Guys, is that the best you can do?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Joe Biden and Donald Trump. I feel like, I mean, I know I'm a European talking straight to camera here, but guys, please, you can do better. I don't know how, but you can do better than this. A better way is possible. All right.
Yeah. And what I get every time I say something about Biden, what do you think I get? What's the first response? Somebody says,
he's the best we have, is it?
Or, well, what about Trump?
Oh, what about Trump? Yeah, that was my response when people are criticizing Hillary Clinton. What about Trump?
Yeah. Or, you Trumper. I hate Trump. I hate fucking Donald Trump. How can I express that more? Okay.
Yeah.
And you don't need me to explain that because it's fucking obvious.
Yes.
But whenever I say something about Biden, they all look at me like I'm fucking insane. Yeah. This guy's record, I know this is a crazy thing to say. His record, what he has done for America, career-wise, is worse than anything Donald Trump has ever done. So far. I mean, he's been on the wrong side of every fucking issue his whole fucking career. Okay? What the fuck? But this is what we got.
You think he's a worse president than Donald Trump?
I'm talking about just this whole entire political career.
Okay, but since he's been president.
Totality. Since he's been president, fucking genocide's a hard fucking road to come back from.
But Trump is also in favor of the genocide, but more.
Yeah.
He wants more genocide.
I don't know if he'd want more genocide. I think the thing is, he doesn't like war because war is bad for his business.
He's going to send Jared out, and Jared will sort it out.
Yeah. If the war could be more quiet and there could be less backlash, that's all he. You know what I mean? It doesn't affect. Yeah, that's all he cares about.
It's a quiet massacre here and there.
Exactly. Yeah. Right. Remember, he came out and said it's the PR issue. That,
it's the messaging.
Israel needs to change their messaging. Yeah, their PR. They didn't knock it off. He literally told some I don't know if they were AIPAC or what they were, but they were like interviewing him, and they were asking about it. He goes, "Yeah, Israel needs. Come on, enough's enough. I'm with you guys, but enough's enough. The messaging's been lost. This is just getting out of hand. Enough's enough."
Cannot stand that. It reminds me of those companies who put workers through very unsafe practices and ridiculous hours and so on. And instead of fixing it, they assign them a wellness coach. That kind of thing. I don't think you can meditate your way out of this one, guys. What you need is a union.
We got a number of clips here to look at. I believe actually I think you gathered most of these clips. But anyways, let's go look at one.
Reminded us all that expression I learned from my dad early on. Silence is complicity. Silence is complicity. It really is.
Okay, stop.
I want you to know.
Now I want you to know too. Okay. Now the thing here is Biden here is referring to the attack on Israeli civilians by Hamas when he says silence is complicity. He's not talking about the genocide, which he doesn't seem to give a shit about. Nobody seems to give a shit about it. Now, Hamas did attack Israeli civilians. And in that piece there, before we queued up that bit, he said 22 American citizens were included in that, But it's an odd thing to suddenly give a shit about American citizens being killed when there's the very famously, I think it was last year, an American citizen of Palestinian extraction called Shireen Abu Akla. She was a reporter, and she was targeted by the IDF, shot dead, and then her funeral was attacked by Israeli forces. And this is all online. The footage of this is online. Her coffin was grabbed by Israeli forces, and they ripped the coffin of the people who were, and she's a reporter and an American citizen. And the American government did not give the singlest of shits about that, because apparently the Israelis are so far above the law that they can kill American citizens, and the Americans don't care. So for him to say, oh, this is terrible, American citizens were killed, I mean, dude, come on.
Yeah.
You either care about them or you don't. He says, but Hamas did attack Israeli civilians who were having some kind of a dance party on occupied land, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And Hamas, I don't know, I mean...
that's not an excuse to attack.
No, it's not an excuse. There's specific rules of war laid down by the UN, and those people were not military targets.
Nope.
No. So that's not good. But also, I don't see much happening with the genocide in Gaza. They won't even call it a genocide,
No, and we'll get to that later too.
Oh, we will, of course. Yeah. Yes, I'm sorry. Yeah. All right.
I think you've already figured it out. I refuse to be silent. I know you refuse to be silent as well. We're surging additional military assistance to the Israeli Defense Force, including ammunition, interceptors to replenish the Iron Dome, and we've moved the U.S. carrier fleet to the Eastern Mediterranean, and we're sending more fighter jets there in that region. And made it clear.
Stop that again.
Made it clear.
Okay. Again, Israel is one of the most sophisticated, massive military machines on the planet, and Hamas is not. Hamas has a few lads with a few rockets and knowledge of the terrain. That's pretty much all they have.
Yeah,
it's insane what's going on. It's just insane. It's just ridiculous. There's a genocide going on there, and well, go on.
I would push this. This is shortly after October 7th, by the way.
Oh yeah. We should situate in time. Yeah.
To the Iranians, be careful. We want to make it real clear. We're working on every aspect of the hostage crisis in Israel, including.
After I think it was after this aired, the Iranians threw 300 missiles at Israel.
Okay, but why? But why did they do that?
Well, because the Israelis killed their ambassador in Lebanon.
Which is a war crime.
Oh yeah. It's a war crime under. It's a war crime under the Vienna Convention.
Yep.
Not the Geneva one.
Right.
It's a breach of the Vienna Convention.
That's correct.
And so the Iranians threw 300 intentionally shitty missiles. They didn't actually want to do any damage. They just wanted to be able to tell their domestic thing, we're dealing with it. And in fact, they were so intent on it not being a thing that they said, we consider this matter settled now. Right. The Americans did nothing when Iran attacked Israel. So when he says here, watch out, Iran.
Yeah, because they didn't want to. They, for once, don't want to escalate into a region war, which is also been an issue with the Houthis and stuff blocking the Gulf. So
yes, in Yemen, Houthis again, not the good guys, but they're bombing the Israeli ships in the Gulf. So
but they might be a little bit mad at the U.S. too because of us bombing the shit out of Yemen.
But also the
Saudi Arabia, but another genocide.
They're funding the Saudis,
yeah. Good times.
Deploying experts to advise and assist with recovery efforts. Now, the press are going to shout to me, and many of you are, that, what are you doing to get these folks home? If I told you, I wouldn't be able to get them home. Folks, there's a lot we're doing. I have not given up hope of bringing these folks home.
Stop that.
The past few days.
Yeah, they're doing nothing. From then to now, they've been doing nothing. Netanyahu, the Prime Minister of Israel, a guy called Bibi Netanyahu, has been seemingly intentionally making things worse because Hamas keep sending their emissaries through Qatar and Egypt. What do they call Eid Misr? I think they called Egypt Misr or something like that, the Arabs. But they keep going through Egypt and Qatar ambassadors or delegations and giving the Israelis offers, and Netanyahu says no to all of them. Netanyahu doesn't give a fuck about those hostages. He doesn't give a single shit.
I mean, okay, so I tried to explain this to a family member who didn't understand, why I'm calling all this bullshit. And the best explanation I could, give him was, it would be like somebody kidnapped my son and drug my son into a store. And instead of going in and trying to get him out of the store, I started bombing the shit out of the fucking store and killing everybody in there and not giving a fuck. And then saying, "Where's my son? Somebody killed my son." That's the same fucking thing that they're doing.
And then it's like the owner of the store came out and said, "If you stop bombing the store, we'll give you back the people." And then you say no.
Yeah.
No, because we want to destroy the store. We're not going to be happy until the store has been leveled.
Yep.
There is a thing in Israel called the Hannibal Directive, by the way.
That's exactly what I was just going to bring up.
The Hannibal Directive is an IDF protocol saying that they will kill their own people before allowing them to be taken as hostages. And there is evidence that the IDF shot Israeli
the soldiers themselves will take themselves out.
Yes.
As part of it.
And there is evidence that the Israelis shot some of their own people on October the 7th.
Yep.
And again, this is not a conspiracy theory. This is something people saw.
Oh, there's I believe, isn't there a video of that?
I don't know about the video, but there's certainly eyewitness testimony of it.
Okay.
I think the Israeli jeeps rolled over and they were there super quick and they just started popping caps in Israelis for some reason. So,
well, I mean, there's IDF soldiers that have admitted it.
Yes.
So, but
well, in Israel they have conscription, so they're all IDF really.
Oh, fair.
Have been a solemn reminder that hate never goes away. Hold on a second, I used to think you could defeat hate. That you can make it, all it does is go underground. Just goes underground. It doesn't go away. It only hides until it's given a little oxygen. I mean, I've been doing this a long time. I never really thought that I would see and have confirmed pictures of terrorists beheading children. I never thought I'd ever. Anyway.
Okay, stop.
Yeah, he didn't see it because it didn't fucking happen. Yeah, there's no evidence of this.
Correct.
It's bullshit.
Correct.
He says this now. It has been debunked since, and he has fucking repeated it over and over again.
Yes. There is zero evidence that Hamas, sorry, it's just such a ridiculous thing to do, that Hamas beheaded babies.
The Israeli Times, I believe it was that publication actually confirmed this, that it didn't happen. I was positive it was there.
It was a right-wing Israeli newspaper, actually. It wasn't Haaretz that did it.
But this he's still fucking saying this shit.
Yes.
He's still fucking saying this shit.
Yes. The White House was contacted the day after he said this, and they said, we are unable to confirm. Now, he said he saw the photos of this happening. Yeah. Now, also, in the weeks after October 7th, a few select journalists said that they also saw the photos.
Yeah.
That the Israeli media people showed them these photos, and they said it was absolutely horrific, right? So what we know from those reporters is that they're liars.
Mm-hmm.
Because I have never heard any kind of a situation where that was dealt with like that, where you just handpick the friendly reporters and feed them some AI-generated bullshit. Maybe they saw something, but there's no evidence that that kind of thing happened at all.
Well, we know not. I mean, look what the New York Times did. With having an IDF sponsored fucking editorial on this so-called rape assault.
The rape assault thing.
I'm not saying that there wasn't any of those assaults, but there is no evidence of the claims that they have made, and they've literally had to admit it, right? But then now the New York Times stuff coming out and saying, "Oh, we were wrong. We shouldn't have, let this happen."
The entire newsroom staff rebelled over that.
Yeah, instead, they're like, "We have a leak issue here." That's what the New York Times' position is on, not the fucking thing that you did, journalist malpractice.
There was war in the editorial department of the New York Times apparently over that. Yeah, there should have been.
That place needs to be purged. It's fucking terrible.
Look, the Israelis have this international public diplomacy propaganda department called Hasbara, and it's funded by the government. And they have people going around specifically to seed what they know are lies. And it's very easy to get people on board with something if you hit them with their emotional center, right?
Yep.
So people get very emotionally worked up if you think you're killing children. They also get very emotionally worked up about raping women, which of course they should do, killing children and raping women. But what they're doing is just trying to hit your emotions like this.
Yep.
And by the time this is established Israeli protocol, other people do it as well, but this is IDF protocol. By the time they come around to having to correct it or having to say, well, we made a mistake, you've already got that emotional thing in your head, and you're interpreting everything through that Israelis are the good guys filter. So it doesn't matter. Like people who listen to this and believe it, and if afterwards it's proven wrong, I've heard them saying it. They'll say something like, oh, well, I know that was wrong, but that's the kind of thing that would happen anyway. That's the kind of thing that Hamas would do. Right? That's how they get over it. And then they're cognitive.
And this is also, it's also very racially motivated too, right? Because you look at the rhetoric that's been coming out. Bibi Netanyahu talking about this is a light versus darkness situation that one of the prime ministers, one of the prime ministers or something said something about we have to annihilate the savages, we have to destroy them. Yes, I mean they are just repeating this rhetoric over and over. And then what's the verse in the Torah that they keep quoting? It's Anak.
Oh, remember Amalek?
Yeah, they want to repeat Amalek, and Bibi Netanyahu said that. And then there's IDF soldiers that have said we're carrying out this. This is it's a fucking genocide. That is exactly what they said that they're fucking doing.
Yes.
God damn it.
And the Palestinians are often referred to as animals by high-ranking officials. The president said they're animals. Previous prime ministers said they're human animals, and also various particular animals they're referred to. They were called dogs. They're called monkeys. They were called also ants. One of the IDF soldiers said when he goes into the West Bank, it's like you're just trying to deal with an ant colony. You're just trying to get rid of ants. So I don't know.
Also, anything more on this clip you want?
No, I think we're good. The beheading baby. And so we have the next bit.
And the pure, unadulterated evil is unleashed on this world. People of Israel lived through one such moment this weekend. The bloody hands of the terrorist organization Hamas, a group whose stated purpose for being is to kill Jews.
Stop.
This was an act of sheer...
That's not true at all. Their stated purpose of being is not to kill Jews. The proof of this is that Hamas has not targeted a single Jew anywhere except on occupied Israeli land. If they hated Jews so much, there's Jews all over the place. There's Jewpalooza in Europe and in America. Why haven't they ever targeted anybody except Jews that are on occupied land? Right? That's bullshit. What Hamas don't like are Zionists. People coming into their country saying, oh yeah, we own this place now. We're going to build houses and you can go fuck yourselves. That's what they are. So that's just bullshit to say that. It's in their charter. It's in their charter. I think I saw something in their charter that actually says we have no problem with Jews. They're people of the book, they call them. The Muslims call Jews people of the book. Okay. They call Christians that as well. And there's a special protected status for people of the book in Islam, which means I'm fucked because I'm an atheist. But you and me are fucked, like I sorry. Yeah. So, but apart from that, we're going to burn in hell forever. But the Jews are all right with Muslims generally. And when I've spoken to Muslims, they don't have any animus towards Jews at all. Some of them have nothing but raw, searing hate for Zionists, but they have no problem at all with Jews. They're ones I know anyway. I'm sure there's lots of Muslim anti-Semites. There must be the same as there's Christian anti-Semites, and I've seen atheist anti-Semitism as well.
Oh yeah,
yeah. So I'm sure like Muslim anti-Semites do exist, but the idea that Hamas is anti-Jewish is ludicrous if you know anything about it. And that man has Blinken standing behind him, and Blinken, if Biden knows nothing about it, Blinken certainly will.
Yeah.
And he should have just tapped him on the shoulder.
More than 1,000 civilians slaughtered.
Stop.
I just go slaughtered.
We don't know how many Israeli people were slaughtered. It was less than 1,000. Not by one is too many. All right. But if we're gonna go on facts, anyway, go on.
In Israel, among them at least 14 American citizens killed. Parents butchered using their bodies to try to protect their children.
Stop that.
Stomach.
Okay. Now, I don't know if he knows this or not, but there's a very famous case in Palestinian consciousness about a father who was crouching over his own child while being shot at by the IDF. He was a civilian. Do you know that when I'm talking about the shot? I'm talking to the photo, famous photo, a guy behind a wall, and he's holding his child like this. And the IDF shot him to pieces, but he saved the kid. But his body was just basically ribbons of meat by the time the IDF were finished with him for no reason at all. He's not armed. He's just a guy. Now, I forget the guy's name.
Yeah, don't worry. They've repeated that again and again.
Yeah, but
you could go on Twitter and you can see fucking that over and over.
But there's the one guy that this, I think it happened during the second Intifada or the first Intifada.
I think you're right.
And this is burned into the consciousness of Palestinians. So to hear Biden say something like bodies of protecting their children, I mean, that's...
Oh, I mean, all this stuff. I mean, again, he himself is a Zionist. I mean, I'm not putting words in his mouth. He has literally said he's a Zionist, right? So, this is nothing frivolous. But I mean, all the things that they say is all projection. Just like that they're hiding behind civilians. Fucking the IDF has done the same goddamn thing. So fuck off.
Oh, I did. The last time there was a Gaza war in 2006. By the way, if you think this whole thing happened on October 7th, you are historically illiterate. You need to stop having opinions. This thing's been going on for years. There was another Gaza invasion in 2006. And in that invasion, the IDF did the same thing. They said Hamas is using human shields. So I did something of a deep dive into it. And I found zero evidence that Hamas was using any human shields, but lots of evidence that the IDF was using human shields. That was in the 2006 invasion. I had video footage backing it up. I had photographs of the IDF using Palestinian children like that in front of guns going around. That's using a human shield, folks. Tying a child to a car, an armored vehicle.
I've seen that.
Right.
That's
so I mean, that's using human shields. There's no evidence of Hamas doing anything like that. They did say then
there was no ceasefire before this.
Of course not. No, the Israelis just wouldn't have
if there was, somebody should have told the IDF because they were literally shooting civilians on October 6th.
Yes. Yes.
So
the IDF go in whenever they want to Gaza and just they call it inside the IDF they call it mowing the grass. They basically keep the civilians down. You don't want too many Palestinians there. It's just going to start popping caps in a few of them. They see them like a herd of animals to be culled. Like a deer that are overgrazing. That's how they see the Palestinians. They don't see them as humans at all. What does I want to say? I wanted to say something else about the human shields. Oh yeah, another thing they say then about the human shields, when you show them the footage of them using Palestinians, they say, oh yeah, Hamas operates from inside civilian areas, like they operate from inside hospitals, is one thing they say, right? There's been no evidence. Now the one they said there was the Al-Shiraf or something, the Al-Shira hospital. And there was no evidence at all. When they went in, they found zero evidence that hospital was being used as a Hamas base. However, the IDF are now currently using it as a military base.
Because the tunnels that were built underneath were built by the fucking IDF. Their own people have admitted it.
Yes.
So
that's how they knew they were there.
Yeah.
Turning reports of babies being killed.
Yeah.
Entire families slain. Young people massacred while attending a musical festival to celebrate peace.
Okay, stop that.
Women raped.
The idea of having a music festival to celebrate peace on stolen land is a bit like going into a Native American reservation and carving 4 huge presidents' heads into a mountain. It's about that level of disconnect. Now, thankfully, the Americans would never do something like that.
Assaulted, paraded as trophies. Families hid their fear for hours and hours, desperately trying to keep their children quiet.
Pause it there. Oh, it's gone. Sorry, it stopped already. I have no idea what he's talking about, paraded as trophies. Do you know what that means?
No.
Meanwhile, the IDF are blowing up places, going into people's houses. They play with the children's toys, and they film themselves doing this, and they film themselves holding up Palestinian women's. Have you seen them doing that underwear?
Yep.
Yeah. Now I don't know what you'd call that, apart from brutal, horrific. Palestinian women's underwear holding it up and laughing of families that they've murdered. What would you call that?
Fucking gross is what it is.
Gruesome, right?
All right.
What do we got?
Here's our next one.
24 seconds. Okay.
But they plan on attacking Israel again, like they did before. Do everything, cutting babies' heads off to burning women and children alive. And so the idea that
stop that.
Stop and
You said during our last clip that he keeps repeating the same claim, even though his own office has debunked it. There's no evidence.
By now he fucking knows. He's been
Yeah.
told. There's no doubt he's been told that it's.
No babies have been beheaded. No women have been burnt. What happened was they had a military operation. Hamas did not expect it to go that well, and they ended up shooting a bunch of Israelis that they came across on occupied, stolen land. The people they shot were what any war crimes investigation would refer to as civilians. They shot Israeli civilians, which is...
It's terrible. It's a fucking war crime too.
It's a war
There's
crime.
no mixing words here. Okay? Yeah.
They're not, again, you know, when people say, oh, we're defending Hamas and so on. No, we're trying to explain to you what happened and what it means, right? Now he says, he says Hamas have committed to attacking Israel again, he said. Right? So, like, that's fine. Like, the Israelis are occupying the land and they're treating Gaza like what they should do is they should limit their attacks to IDF people, to military targets, right? Because that's not a war crime. That's just war fighty stuff.
It's just war,
right? And I know Hamas are capable of it. More fighty stuff, yeah. But this,
we finally got some humor in this.
Yeah. Oh yeah, a load of jokes about this stuff. Yeah. So fighty, right? Shooty, bang bang people, and that's okay. Yeah. But again, there's a genocide going on in Gaza.
Not do anything is not realistic. This is not the carpet bombing. This is a different thing.
The fuck it isn't.
Through these tunnels, they're going in the hospital.
Okay, we know
exactly what
now. What we do know is that Hamas have often used tunnels. They have used tunnels to bring in supplies from Egypt and to run around the place. What the Israelis said is that these tunnels are being used under the Al-Shifa hospital for the purposes of military stuff, and we know now that's not true. Right. That is not true, and it was never true. The tunnels will be somewhere around Rafah, I think. And if there are tunnels in Gaza City, then those weren't the ones they were using, and the IDF has failed to find them. The IDF has also failed to find any hostages wherever they're being held. I don't know. They found 4 of them, I think, in total.
Some were released. I think some were released early on too.
2 of them were.
Yeah, and also let's the other thing real quick to think about is let's talk about all the fucking hostages that the IDF has from Palestine.
Yes. Now you see, the thing is, there's thousands and thousands of Palestinians who've been arrested and they're sitting in jails and torture centers, and they have not been charged with anything.
I want to say, that's fucking kidnapping. That's
technically that would be called kidnapping because international law and any
kind of children, there are women and fucking children there too.
Any kind of system of jurisprudence will have a thing called habeas corpus. Habeas corpus is very important to any democratic legal system. Habeas corpus means I have the body, right? Which means you have to present yourself to a judge, and whoever's arresting you has to explain, well, I'm charging this guy with something. The reason I have this guy in possession is because he's a drug dealer or whatever, right? And without that, you're kidnapping people. You're kidnapping people. Everybody has a right to habeas corpus. If you get arrested by the police at some point, unless they let you go, you're entitled to go to court and talk to the judge, right? And the judge will see you, and they'll say, do you plead guilty or not guilty? This is an eye line sight. It's that basic. That's habeas corpus. Without that, what you have is internment. It's called internment. When you're allowed in Northern Ireland in the late 1970s, the English government signed an order for internment, meaning that the police could arrest anybody without trial, without any habeas corpus, and just throw them in jail if they felt they were IRA looking, if they felt they were terroristy. And the Israelis are doing the same thing. They've kidnapped thousands of people, and as you said, including women and children. And they're sitting in torture chambers and run by Shin Bet in the Muscabia, the Russian complex. They call it Muscabia in the Russian complex, which is used for torturing prisoners. And people die in there. They get tortured to death.
So this just here, let me see if I can share this.
What did you Google?
Well, I knew about this from the other day.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, I just something we're talking about now. Do you see this?
Strapped down, blindfolded, held in diapers. Israeli whistleblowers detail abuse of Palestinians and shadowy. Is that about the Muscabia?
It's their own little concentration camp.
Well, there will be a network of these places.
I believe so.
Well, go back to what the IDF said. The Israeli military, known as the IDF, said the IDF ensures proper conduct towards these detainees in custody. Any allegation of misconduct by IDF soldiers is examined and dealt with accordingly. No, it's not. In appropriate cases, Anyway, so the point is the IDF will lie and lie and lie and lie, and people fucking believe their bullshit. The IDF lies about everything constantly.
Just like the U.S. government, which is
so if a civilian gets shot. Well, no, the U.S. government is nothing like the level of the IDF. The IDF is a different level of lies. Like if the IDF shoot a civilian, the first thing they'll say is, "Oh no, Hamas shot them. They got caught in the crossfire." And then they'll be like, "Well, no, we know it was you because we have it on camera." Oh, then they were a terrorist. A new story comes up, and they're like, "Well, they weren't a terrorist." Oh, well, then something else happened. It's all bullshit. It's just bullshit after bullshit. Like, how can you believe anything the IDF say? They're lying bastards, and they know they're lying.
So we talked about this new statement released by the president upon the delivery of this first batch of aid to Gaza that Elson and I were just talking about. He also discussed this continued effort to allow Americans and other foreign nationals to leave Gaza through Egypt. NBC's White House correspondent Ali Rafa is joining us now with more
we don't need to talk about that. Stop it.
on this.
That's all I need to hear. Right. First of all, what I'd like to say about that is the following. He's talking about getting the Americans out of Gaza through Egypt. I'm actually fine with that. I think anybody who wants to leave should be allowed to leave. Even the Americans. Fine, let them go, don't care. Secondly, he's talking about sending aid to Gaza, which is ludicrous. Because he's sending the bombs that are destroying Gaza.
Yeah.
And then he's sending aid, right? They don't need aid. They want some guy on the phone to Netanyahu saying, "Stop bombing Gaza." Furthermore, aid that goes from Israel into across Israeli territory into Gaza is being attacked by Israeli settlers frequently. It was attacked. They will just go onto the aid trucks and rip out all the food and whatever else and medical supplies and throw it onto the street. Israeli people will do that if they think it's going to Gaza.
And it's fucking expired food too. They're sending them shitty ass fucking food because they've videoed what they're getting, and it's garbage. You're fucking pissing on these fucking.
And they won't even let them have the garbage.
Yeah.
The IDF, they started running food runs into Gaza, guarded by the IDF. And even though the IDF were guarding it, the Israeli settlers still attacked it. They just go en masse. They hoard around. There is video footage of this happening. Again, we're not just making it up. Settlers will attack food because they know it's aid and they know it's humanitarian aid. And they will rip the food out of the trucks. It's not like they think it's weapons or something, because you can see them ripping rice bags out of the truck and just throwing it onto the street. They want to starve these people. They want to kill as many civilians as possible. They hate Arabs. Israelis and Zionists are taught from a young age to hate Arabs and hate Palestinians. It's in their little school books. They're taught to hate them, that they're animals, that they're rats. It's exactly the same language that was spoken about the Jews in Warsaw and the Jews in Berlin. These people are rats. They're a disease, and they need to be controlled. That's how you speak about these people. So I don't want to give them food.
That's how they speak about these people.
Yeah.
Yeah, to be clear. So
So when I say Israeli, sometimes I use the word Israelis, the same thing as Zionists, but I should probably point out that there are lots of Israelis who find this horrifying and are working 24/7 to try and stop this genocide. Israeli Jews are on it.
And get Netanyahu out of fucking office. Yeah.
There are
a lot of the families of these hostages are fucking furious.
Absolutely livid. The families of the hostages are camping outside Netanyahu's house right now, saying, "Fuck you, fuck you."
Yeah.
They're livid with him because they know he's been turning down all the offers.
Or just bombing the places where the hostages probably are.
And lots of Israeli Jews are on it. They are on it. If I'll say this for Jews, I think Jews are the key to this whole thing. I think Jews are going to be the solution to this problem, because I know so many Jews that are so all over this. So when I say Israelis, just be aware that sometimes I just mean Zionists, and I'm using that as a shorthand for Zionists, because there's so many Israeli Jews. There's this whole entire Israeli Jewish organizations. One is Yesh Din. Yesh Din, it means we have a law, or there is a law, we have laws, is a human rights, Jewish Israeli human rights group that is absolutely incensed with this. The more famous one is Bet Salem, which means in the image of. Bet Salem as in Bet Salem Elohim, right? It means in the image of. And they are also incensed, very angry at what's going on. They keep publishing stuff. It's run by Israeli Jews, all Israeli Jews, completely Jewish. Like they'll talk to Arabs and so on, but the organization is Israeli Jewish. And I know lots of Jews they think the IDF is a gang of war criminals. And they're not like Jews in the sense of like they don't like being Jews or something. They're very proud of being Jewish. They're proud of their heritage. They're proud of their history, and they think this country is being run by a gang of war criminals. They're deeply angry that this man, Bibi Netanyahu, and Likud in general, is destroying Israel. When what it should be is, a little bit less genocide-y.
Yeah.
Some movement, and I don't want to, well, maybe choose my words. There's some movement. There's been a response from the opposition, but yes, I'm sorry, from Hamas.
Okay, stop it.
But it seems to.
I just included that for the purposes of whimsy. I don't have any dark sources or reference for that. I just put that in because he forgot the name of Hamas.
Yeah.
Hamas is an Arabic word. It means enthusiasm or zeal, because they're Islamic zealots or something.
Yeah.
When you think of all the people who would appreciate a zealot movement in Israel, it would be the Jews, because there was one in against the Roman Empire.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah. You would think that after choosing to his words correctly, he'd remember who the fuck he was talking about.
At least he didn't say Hamas.
Yeah. I don't think he's capable of
Hamas, like the Israelis call them Hamas, to make it sound more, to make it sound more menacing or something. It was Hamas.
All right.
Don't make the same mistake. Focus on, and we'll help you focus on getting the bad guys. And we got to think through what is happening after Gaza, after this is over. Who's going to occupy Gaza?
Okay, stop it.
I've been working with the Arab states.
He said, who's going to occupy Gaza? The idea of a democratic people running their own state is out of the question already. Next.
I won't mention them because I don't want to get them in trouble.
He said Arab states he was working with.
Yeah, I know. The 5 Arab states he said he's working with, he doesn't want to mention them because he wants to get them in trouble. Okay, it's Egypt, Qatar, right? Jordan, and maybe not Syria. Who else would it be? He doesn't have to mention them. Lebanon,
Saudi Arabia?
Maybe. And they said they're going to help run Gaza when it's finished. It wouldn't surprise me if one of them was Jordan. Jordan occupied the West Bank until, I think, 1967.
Yeah.
And they were running the place, holding it basically in trust for the Palestinian people. And then Israel just took over and started trashing the place. Anyway, go on.
But 5 leaders in the Arab community were prepared to help rebuild Gaza, prepared to help transition to a 2-state solution.
To govern it?
Well, to maintain the security and peace while they're working out a Palestinian authority that's real and not corrupt.
The Nation of Israel got a mandate from the UN in 1947 on the basis that there would be something of a 2-state solution. There was Israeli territory, there was Arab territory, and in the middle was Jerusalem, which was going to be held by the UN mandate as an international city. That's not what happened. What happened is Israel just gobbled up everything over time. In 1967, they went out of their way. They took the Golan Heights, they took Gaza, and they took the West Bank. It's just insane what they've been allowed to get away with.
Don't make the same mistake. Focus on it. We'll help you.
Yeah, just repeat yourself. The quote there, I'm not supplying weapons if Israel goes into Rafah. Guess what he did? Guess what he did? And he sent him more weapons. Yes. Not that they already didn't have weapons to do what they needed. He has literally sent them more weapons since they've been in Rafah.
And what's extra special about Rafah that makes it non-weapon worthy anyway? Like, what are they doing in Rafah that they weren't doing in Khan Yunis, that they weren't doing in Gaza City?
The claim is that it's the most densely area of civilians. Well, what do you think the rest of it was? You know what I mean?
The history of this invasion has been telling people in an area to evacuate to the south and then bombing that place that they told them to go to. They told them to go to Khan Yunis and they bombed Khan Yunis. Then they told them to go to Rafah and they bombed Rafah. It's just insane. What they've been at together is a series of war crimes and genocides.
Yep. And
everything you need for a genocide is in there. Ticks all the boxes.
Go here. We won't bomb you. Guess what? We're bombing you.
Yeah. As civilians. People they know are civilians.
Awesome.
Mm.
Thank you. You said at the start of this that you don't believe what's happening in Gaza is genocide. What criterion are you using?
We're using the internationally accepted term for genocide, which includes a focus on intent. And it's not just me standing here at this podium. In the context of this International Court of Justice case at The Hague, the United States actually made a presentation backed up by legal analysis, which I would invite you to read because it lays out all of those criteria.
Francesca Albanese, the Special UN Rapporteur on Human Rights in Palestine, presented one in March. She presented it in Geneva. The 3 criteria she used, setting international law, 3 acts: Israel's intent to destroy a national, ethnic, racial, or religious group, serious bodily or mental harm to a group, inflicting on a group conditions of life calculated to bring physical destruction in whole or in part, within imposing measures intended to prevent birth within a group, process of erasure of the native Palestinians. So those 3 things are happening. How can you say genocide's not being committed?
As I just told you, I think the best way for me to answer that question is actually to ask you to look at the laydown that we gave, which...
Are you saying this isn't happening?
I'm sorry. I thought you asked me how I can say it. I'm saying I'd like you to look at the United States'
Okay, stop it.
Do you mind if I...
And I'd like you to get off. Yeah. Okay, here's the thing. When people say it's not just about...
Just to be clear, just one thing. This happened this week. This is from this week. So this is recent. So this is after all these months have gone by, all this evidence. This is the statement that they made.
Right. And what that lady, they're called lady reporters these days. Okay, try and be a bit more woke. Okay. What that lady reporter said was, it's not just about murdering people; it's about destroying the Palestinians as a people. Now, the Israelis have bombed every university in Gaza. They've bombed museums, archives. They've burnt archives of Palestinian culture. Libraries have been bombed, mosques, which are often used to preserve culture in Arab areas and Muslim areas, right?
Graves.
Yeah, the Israelis have been, in other words, the Israelis are making an intentional effort to eliminate the Palestinians, not just their physical bodies, but the whole notion of a Palestinian people. We don't know what's been lost when the archives were burnt and the museums have been destroyed. That's where every country puts who they are as a people, into the museums and the archives and the libraries. That's what they're for. And the universities as well. Like they say, when they said, "Oh, I can't believe you're calling Columbia University into disrepute because of what the students are doing." Man, I mean, it's better than having your entire university leveled.
Yeah.
You know, if you don't like universities being fucked with, I have some news for you. You're not going to like what they're doing in Gaza. So they're making an effort not just to attack the people, the civilians, to murder everybody there, but to destroy their culture, what it means to be Palestinian. Because the Israeli contention, of course, for decades now has been that there is no such thing as a Palestinian culture. There's no such thing as Palestinians, right? It was a bit rich for people who came in and robbed their land. Golda Meir said there was never such thing as a Palestinian, she said. And then a year later in a different interview said, "I am a Palestinian. I have a Palestinian passport since from the 1930s. So I don't know." Golda Meir, one of the most vicious Israeli prime ministers.
I
finish answering your question before you interrupt.
Are you saying that she's a liar?
The United States has laid down at the International Court of Justice in writing, in detail, its position on this issue, and I'd ask you to read it. Thank you.
He's talking about
with what she's saying.
The lady reporter is talking about Francesca Albanese. Francesca Albanese has a Twitter account which you should follow if you're interested in this kind of thing. She's brilliant. She works for the UN. Her job is a special rapporteur for Palestine. Her job is to know her shit. That guy's job is just to sell White House policy. Francesca Albanese's job is not to be in favor of anybody, really. She's just there to say what's going on with the Palestinians. If you follow her account, her Twitter is just getting angrier and angrier at what's been happening. And if she says it's a bloody genocide, like she's working for the UN.
Yeah.
It's a genocide. Sorry, it's a genocide.
It's
as much a genocide as any other genocide you can think of.
Yeah. So we talk often about how the Israeli response is sometimes ridiculous. Yeah. So here's a little bit of theater that they put on at the UN for us.
This is you are shredding the UN Charter with your own hands. Yes, that's what you're doing. Shredding the UN Charter. Shame on you.
All right.
How long did he spend on Amazon trying to find that shredder?
He brought that little thing with him. Yeah, that was the plan. He brought the little. He doesn't have that on him. all the time. He brought that thing with him, right? The Israelis, of course, have over the last few decades repeatedly said that they don't give a damn what the UN says. They say they will intentionally ignore the UN. They say the UN has no authority over Israel. So they're the ones that have been shredding, again, including this guy. The Israelis are the ones who are shredding the UN documents, not anybody else. That was in response to an effort by a different UN council to get Palestine recognized for the UN, because America will just veto any attempt on the Security Council. So they're going to go through a different council to try and get the Palestine recognized. And that's why he was angry. Yeah, because they don't accept the Palestinians are real, that it's a real place. It's just Arabs. They're just desert Arabs, they're just Arabs getting in the way.
Yeah, how dare they?
Meh.
But, Henry Kissinger did a lot of shitty things, right? But I don't think he did anything quite like this during a genocide. Just saying.
Oh, it's shameless.
If you don't know who that is, that's Anthony Blinken, the Secretary of State.
Hey, Blinken, yeah.
Yeah, complete piece of shit.
That's a Neil Young song from 1987. He wrote it about homeless people, but okay. And about the failure of George Bush's homeless policy in America. That's what that song is about.
1,000 points of light.
For the homeless man, we got a kindler, gentler machine gun sound. Yeah. Neil Young will not be happy with that.
Well, he is.
Nor should anyone. The good news is that hardcore Muslims won't see it because it's haram. Sorry. Because rock music is haram. But it's rough to look at like a guy representing the genocide position saying, yeah, we're the free world. Jesus Christ. I don't know, man.
And fucking terrible at it too, I might add. But whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if you're gonna do it, at least do it right, man. Come on. So, but I don't know. I don't think I have any other clips there. Did you see any that I missed?
No, I think that covers it. That was the Biden position on Gaza is unsupportable. He keeps pushing it, even though he knows for a fact it's incorrect. And he keeps giving weapons to Gaza. And I don't think this is like a shrug emoji thing. I think this is something that anybody who calls themselves a Democrat in America should be very angry about.
Yep. And instead, most of the people, including Bill Maher, like we talked about not too long ago, Hillary Clinton, a lot of people that are supposed to be these, truth-seeking liberals, which maybe that's an oxymoron, but just want to bash folks that are dying in fucking Palestine and calling them.
All right, Seamus, serious question time for you.
Okay. Oh, geez, here we go.
Let's say people watching this podcast have been convinced that they shouldn't vote for Biden, that it's a bad use of their vote. What would you suggest they do?
Fuck, man, I don't know. I mean,
no, that's no good. I need constructive advice for these people. They're watching right now, unless you edit this out.
Yeah, I probably would edit it out. I mean, the only thing you could do is hold people by your vote. That's the only choice we have, right?
Explain.
So, if you don't like what somebody's doing, you don't reward them with your vote. They are supposed to earn your vote.
Are you prepared to say who you're going to vote for?
I'm probably going to vote for either Jill Stein or Cornel West.
Right, and you know what Democrats will say about that?
That I am giving them Trump.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Or
I won't vote at all because
you're splitting the sensible vote.
But it's not a sensible vote.
No, I'm not saying it is. I'm saying this is what the people will say to you.
It's not. I mean, you
know that Jill Stein's not going to get elected, and you know that Cornel West is not going to get elected, right?
Probably not.
And you feel that a vote for either of those people is not a wasted vote because Biden is such a disaster.
Pretty much. I can't consciously vote for Biden. I cannot consciously vote for somebody that is doing this, that is committing genocide.
Oh, yeah.
That is explicitly committing genocide. I mean, there's no two ways about it, okay?
But you don't have a solid recommendation for the viewers here who have been convinced that they shouldn't vote for Biden.
I like Jill Stein and I like Cornel West. That's all. I mean, but are they perfect? No. But they're not committing genocide. Sorry. That's where I'm at. And as far as the other two, you're voting for either incremental change to, or going to fascism, or extreme change to fascism, because both are leading us there.
Well, if it makes you feel any better,
if you don't think that's happening, look what they did to the fucking people protesting against genocide at the campuses. Look at all of the cops that he unleashed. The fact that he is giving more he has given more money to cops and added more cops than
Biden.
Than any president before. And that was before this. After this, after all of the protests and all of the fucking skullduggery that the fucking bootjack thugs were doing, the fucking students, what is he doing? He says, we need more police because we need more order, because that's what an authoritarian does, right? Yeah. Fuck you.
Very, very concerned about law and order and not so much concerned. Well, that's how you can
law
tell.
And order. Presidents that say that. That sounds like Nixon. Maybe. I don't know.
Well, there's a lot of ways you can tell the difference between right wing and left wing, right? Right wing tend to go over things like law and order and the economy, and left wing things tend to go for things like health and education.
Yeah.
So if your candidate is kind of health and education focused, he's kind of lefty, probably. And if he's going more kind of economy and law and order, he's leaning towards the right in any country.
Yeah. I mean, Biden's to the left or to the right of Nixon.
Nixon would have been a pussy Democrat.
Yeah.
He'd be a very left-wing Democrat if he ran now. People wouldn't take him seriously at all. And he was regarded as hard right at the time.
Exactly. And he wasn't a good president either. I'm not trying to be pro Nixon. I'm just saying, think about some of the worst presidents we've ever had. Nixon always pops everybody's mind. And he would be the fucking left of these.
He would know, yeah.
It's fucking insane.
It is insane, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
If it makes you feel any better, I can only justify a vote in my country for a party that I strongly suspect will never be in power. And that's what I'll be doing with my vote.
Yeah, but you guys aren't committing genocide, so.
No, we're not. But, again, this isn't... When we say things like the Americans are support, the Americans this, the Americans that, it's not like a racial difficulty. It's because they have all the power.
Yeah.
I can promise you, if Ireland had the military machine and the economy of America, what do you think we'd be doing? Do you think Irish people wouldn't be genociding with that kind of power and that kind of guns? I can promise you that we would. It's not a failing of the American people. It's a failing of humanity. Anybody would.
It could be a failure of the American people that we've come to this point.
Well, that's a public diplomacy propaganda model that Noam Chomsky and Ed Herman used to talk about.
Yep.
Well, that's a separate issue.
Anyhow, it sucks, guys. Sorry, this wasn't very funny.
Do we have any jokes about Muslim genocide? No.
We're genocides in general now. So just bring on the hate mail. I'm sure I'll be getting a lot of that.
Because we targeted Biden.
Yeah. But, I don't know. Sorry, guys. I don't want to tell you, but
everything we've said today is true. That's all we can say.
Yeah, it's not going to be good either way, whoever we get. So I don't want either one. So we'll probably end up. I don't know.
Can you imagine if Cornel West was the president of America? How amazing that would be.
I would. Cornel West would be my first choice. I do like.
I've seen him say some incredibly cool shit.
Yeah, I do love that man. So Nina Turner would be my favorite. If I could vote for anybody, although she's not running, unfortunately. I fucking love her.
Selfish cow.
Hey.
Selfish.
No,
it's not about you. It's not about you, love. It's about the country.
No, she's awesome.
You're just going to step back and let it be ruined by idiots.
Oh, no.
Nice work, Turner.
Don't say anything mean about Nina Turner. She's awesome.
I know. I only dude, if you tell me not to say something mean about it, what am I going to do?
I know.
The only reason I go on about the Penguins is because you told me not to. All right? Do you understand?
I never said not to. You're the one that says they don't exist.
No, excuse me. Every time I say something negative about the Penguins, you're like, no, like that, right? Because
you say they don't exist. They exist.
Well, no, I didn't say they don't exist. I said that's not their name.
What's their name then?
How would I know? You're the one who keeps lying about it.
All right.
See, hey, you see, that's what I'm looking for. That's the look. It's like, all right. We're friends, really. Don't worry, we're friends, really.
Yeah, we are. But we'll be back in 2 weeks. I don't know.
Thanks for listening. Sorry, this was grim.
Yeah, we promise to be funny at some level next week. So
we'll do a proper script next week, will we?
Possibly.
Not proper. What do you call it? A written script.
Yeah.
Next week, and then after that, more Bill Maher.
maybe more Bill Maher after that. But yeah, we'll see. If we do, it'll be something related to the FBI ish, maybe. I don't know. So, anyways, we'll see you all in 2 weeks.
Thank you.
Love you, most of you, some of you.